Hello, my beautiful African people. Welcome back to Hail and Ride African Facebook page. Today we are talking about Senegal, the youngest president elect in Africa, B.Faye. He is from Senegal, and some of you may not know that Senegal is a small country in West Africa. Their population is just below 17 million people. You know, leadership in Africa is always a problem. Africa is always having leadership problems. And the search for good leadership in Africa is like the search for dark matters. Dark matters, according to scientists, are made up of 80% of particles in the universe. And still, scientists have not been able to see this dark matter. Just as in Africa, more than 80% of Africans are good people. But this small percentage of bad people in Africa always find their way to be the leaders of our people. And this problem is as old as Africa. That's why when we see this young president-elect, he is 44 years, which means that he is very young. If he becomes a president, he will be the youngest African president at the moment. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about the guy because he has went to prison. He just came out of prison and won the presidential election. This is like a miracle, you know what I mean? Because someone that went to prison, which means it's the government that put him in prison. But we're not going to talk about his days in prison. We're talking about all the stuff, all the promises he made. If he follow through to these promises, I think we're gonna have a good leadership in Senegal very soon. Because as I said in my previous video, Africans have woken up. Especially the young ones, our old ones are still sleeping. They are still dancing to the tune of our outside the forces, and most of them set their eyes outside Africa. That's why those corrupt politicians in Africa always traveling to the West or Dubai, to buy houses there, which means their eyes are not set in their motherland, which they're supposed to. This is where their eyes are supposed to be set. But that's not the case, you know what I mean? So the guy, the new president-elect of Senegal, have promised to fight corruption, poverty, and to bring development to his people. Because he was born in a village, Sometimes when you are born in the village, you see stuff since he was born and grew up in a village, I believe so. And sometimes when you are born in a little town, you see something different from people that are born in the township, you know what I mean? So I'm happy that he made the corruption one of his top priorities because, corruption in Africa is rife. Now, some people might deny it, like the last video I made about corruption in Africa. Maybe is one of the sympathizers or politician who was subscribed to me because he saw one of my videos and was happy what I said about that one. And this time around, because I talked about corruption in the leadership, in politics in Africa, he or she decided to unsubscribe to my YouTube channel. But we're not gonna stop talking about corruption. If you want Africa to progress, you have to tell Africans the truth. And this truth is clear because most of people in Africa will agree that there is corruption. Things are not the way it's supposed to be. And we should not normalize corruption as way of life. Because corruption is like lies, you cannot live on lies, It's gonna hunt you down one day. That's the problem with the corruption. And poverty as well, because this Senegal was colonized by France. And France is one of the colonial masters in the world, one of the worst colonial masters in the world. And because when you hear that France colonized a country, another stuff you're supposed to hear with that kind of statement is that the country is poor. And when you look at Senegal, they classify them as being poor. And with this little population of 16 million, there's no reason why Senegal should be poor. But that's the way it is, it's poor. And there's another stuff the statement the guy made that I'm very happy about. He said Senegal is gonna ditch franc, this CFA currency that most of the African French colonies uses in Africa. The guy said he's gonna ditch this currency because it's only, I don't know how France get to do this to Africans. Your colonial masters, they treated you bad, and you still sending your money to them because this franc, this CFA currency, all the African countries that are using it will, I don't know, maybe they sign this, or those dubious and corrupt politicians sign this agreement with the French. Half of your foreign reserve currency, you have to deposit it in French treasury with French treasury, which means France is in charge of half of your economy. You deposit this money, they use it, and be making money without giving you any interest. And this has been going on for a long time in Africa, especially the French or the French colonies that uses this franc. And I don't know how France think that this is going to continue this way. Things are not going to continue this way because this is cheating. But these people, they don't care. They're only interested in, robbing Africans. That's what they're doing anyway. I'm happy that this man is going to cut the ties of this kind of stuff. And the Africans have been waking up now. So there is a hope for Africans, especially if people like this guy, young guys, start coming into leadership in Africa. I think Africa is going to be good. And I heard some media, all these Western media, some of them say this guy is a liberal. They want to import this kind of terminology they use in the West, liberal and conservative. Africa, we don't have liberals in Africa. Africa, conservative. I'm not talking about conservative in terms of Western conservative. The Western conservative are not conservative because most of them are conservative in the mouth, but in their heart, they are liberal. very liberal, you know what I mean? So let us hope that this guy will do well. We wish him good luck, and we congratulate him for winning this election. And we hope that he's gonna stick to his words and help his people, not to be like those former African leaders that they talk good and they do different stuff. You know what I mean? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and help us. If you like our videos, help the algorithm, and if you subscribe, help us reach more people. I'm your Bratan, as the Russians call me, Damuta. Peace.